Good morning, guys. Well, I say good morning because that's what I always say, but this morning it's not quite a good morning. Come out to the garage just to try and get on with a few bits. 3D printers going, and I thought get the heater on, which is down here. I'll show you in a second. And now it was working yesterday or the day before, perfectly fine, and this morning it's not. We've got an error code on it. That's the error code, E-06. Now, from a bit of Googling, before I started filming, E-06 is apparently a fan sensor issue, or something to do with the fan. Now, I've not had this unit out of here, really, since it was installed. So, what I think I'm going to have to do is get it out, certainly take the case off it, have a look, make sure things are still moving, and go from there. I'm a bit in the dark as to what could be causing the problem, and it seems odd that it just happened overnight. So sensors fail, it could be anything. So first job is to get it out from there and have a look and see what we can find. Okay, so outer metal covers off. Little fuel tank was never installed on mine, but it's been taken out, so that covers off as well. That metal plate sits here, that's been taken out, or just lifted out of the way, it's not been disconnected or anything. This top cover off the diesel heater is off, as you can see. This inlet piece just threads on, so that just unscrews and lifts the top off. What I'm going to do now is just see if I can get this to reset somehow and fire up. Or see if it comes up with an error again, because everything seems to be spinning freely. What I'm not seeing is the glow plug coming on. So it could be that it's not sensing the fan is moving. Okay, I'll let it run its cycle and see what happens. Okay, so I've let this run through its cycle a couple of times. And what I've seen is that it just doesn't seem to be getting any data or signal from the fan. As you can see, the fan is spinning properly. There's no noise, it's just free to spin. Underneath here is the control board. I went and did a bit of Googling to see if there's anybody else had the same fault, and it's all to do with fan sensing. Now, what most people are finding is that the fan's not turning, which is why it can't sense it. And what's been the fault with there is the fan is just a press-on fit onto the shaft, and the fan's moved away, and then it's jammed up on the casing and everything else. But this is free to turn. Now, what I have checked is that this hasn't moved, and I can feel, you can't see it, but I can feel the fan is flush with the end of the shaft, so I don't think it's moved either further on or further away. The sensor, the Hall effect sensor, is actually built into this control board. It's just down the back here, and that all seems to be lined up. There doesn't seem to be an excessive gap or anything like that. The other thing I've noticed is that now the control panel's now coming on. I wonder if I didn't turn the power back on. So I've run it a couple of times, and what it's doing now is it'll come on, it'll try and spin up, can't sense the fan, but then also won't shut down until I take the power away from it. I'll see if I can demonstrate that. I think I might have just left the power off. Okay, so as you can see, the power's back on. It's going through its cycle, spins up, slows down. Now the one thing that I'm noticing is the glow plug isn't coming on. It's not trying to warm up. So what it's doing, or not doing, is it can't detect that speed to say that the fan's actually running. But if I try and turn it off, oh, of course, typically when I do that, it turns off. Alright, I wonder if it does it this time. What if we just leave it and see what happens? Typical. It's now trying to fire up, and it has fired up. Alright, so I'm going to shut this down because I don't really want it to get through its process here just now, because the exhaust is actually inside here. Right, pumps off, burners off. So I'm going to totally reinstate this now. Okay. Well, that's all a bit frustrating. I don't know what I've done to actually make that work. Yeah, that's a bit frustrating. Anyway, I'm going to let it shut down, do its thing totally, and then put it all back together and try again. Okay, so it's back together and it's still not working. So there's something that must be on the hairy edge of working. I can only assume it's the Hall sensor on that control board. I have ordered a new controller and a new motherboard. That seems to be the only electrical fix. I don't know if you saw in the previous bit of footage, there's one bolt holding that motherboard in place, which also then is going to affect the position of the sensor. I'm wondering if that's not in the right place now, or it's just not quite in the right place. So I'm going to take it apart again quickly, try and move that as close as possible to the fan without it rubbing, and see if I can get it to work reliably. Otherwise it's going to be a electronics change out when it arrives tomorrow. So taking the unit apart again, that control board where the sensor is, that's a good sign, good sound. Where that sensor is, I've moved it fractionally, loosened off the bolt, moved it fractionally close to the fan, tightened it all up again, and you might or might not be able to hear that it's now reinstated and it's just fired up. So I'm not sure if there's an intermittent fault or if there's just something's moved somehow, but it does seem as though the electronics at the moment are working. We just have to wait and see. This was an error code E-06, which is fan sensing, fan not moving. I haven't actually fixed anything, I haven't done anything. All I've done is played about with a few things, moved a few things, but it's working again. Hopefully you might have found this helpful if you've got one of these heaters. I think this is going to be like a generic issue across all this type of heater, but I'll keep you posted as to whether or not it keeps on working. So until next time, I'll catch you later.